Welcome back, I am Largo, and today we're checking out another SCP video. Today it's going to be SCP-1602. It's called a shower curtain. It's labeled as a transfiguration / extra-dimensional SCP. It's a shower curtain. Okay, I have questions already. Let's go ahead and start the video and see how a shower curtain is an extra-dimensional SCP.
The SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-1602. Object Class: Safe.
Safe. Okay.
Special Containment Procedures. As it only exhibits anomalous qualities when spread out, SCP-1602 must remain folded a minimum of 5 times when not undergoing testing. When SCP-1602 is removed from its container to undergo testing or cleaning, no fewer than 3 personnel are to be in a room with it at any given time. It is currently kept at Storage Site 49 inside a standard containment locker. Researchers seeking to conduct additional tests involving SCP-1602 must have written approval from a Level 3 staff member before removing the item from containment. Instances of SCP-1602-B are to be terminated by security personnel after researchers have made sufficient notes regarding its behavior. All remains are to be preserved and placed in storage.
So, some interesting information already. It's safe, so it's super easy to contain. It only exhibits anomalous properties when it's folded up, so they keep it folded and put inside of a locker. And then instances of SCP-1602-B are to be terminated by security personnel. What is 602-B? Does something come out of the shower curtain? Let's find out.
Description: SCP-1602 is a plastic shower curtain. When spread and placed in a room with a single human subject, SCP-1602 will enter its active state, and an extra-dimensional space containing SCP-1602-A will be generated behind SCP-1602.
What?
This phenomenon still occurs even when SCP-1602 is placed against a wall or other solid object. 5 to 30 minutes after activation, a faint light will appear roughly 3 meters behind SCP-1602, casting a silhouette of SCP-1602-A on the back of the curtain. SCP-1602-A will remain stationary for a brief period before drawing back SCP-1602 and approaching the subject. Pre-test counseling sessions conducted with D-Class subjects have shown that instances of SCP-1602-A take on forms that are representative of subjects' psychological insecurities. See experiment log.
Oh, now we're getting interesting. So, when placed in a room with one individual and put up, not folded, spread out, behind the shower curtain, it opens up an extra dimensional space which entities come out of. That's crazy. It's like a magic curtain that you can just hang up on the wall, and then when you pull it back, there's like a whole world behind it. That's crazy. Okay, all right, let's see.
If an additional party enters the room during this process, SCP-1602-A and any physical traces of its existence will instantly vanish, and SCP-1602 will re-enter its dormant state. If left unimpeded, SCP-1602-A will restrain the subject and forcibly pull them behind SCP-1602. Instances of SCP-1602-A have consistently proven capable of outrunning, overpowering, and subduing subjects through non-lethal means. Once the subject has been taken behind SCP-1602, SCP-1602-A will return SCP-1602 to its spread position. SCP-1602 will then re-enter its dormant state.
That sounds like a trap. So you spread it out, it opens this extra dimensional space, 1602-A entity comes out, grabs the spectator, pulls them into that extra dimensional space, then resets the curtain, and then goes back into its dormant state. So it goes back into its neutral waiting position, waiting for another subject to come in, presumably so he can grab them. Okay. So it takes people. Do we get people back out of it? Does it only take people in?
In roughly 10% of tests conducted with D-Class personnel, the captured subject re-emerged from behind SCP-1602 unharmed and with no memory of their abduction. In the remaining tests, SCP-1602 spontaneously reactivated 10 to 60 minutes after the subject's disappearance, and an instance of SCP-1602-B was generated. SCP-1602-B are identical to the most recent version of SCP-1602-A. However, they will not disappear when viewed by a person other than the subject. SCP-1602-B can be easily terminated with a standard firearm, even when SCP-1602-B possesses no visible means of animation.
So, these entities grab people, take them behind the shower curtain. 10% of them come back fine with no recollection of the incident, unharmed, fine, whatever. Everybody else, 90% then, right? If 10% come back unharmed, that means 90% of them either don't come back at all or they come back as one of these 1602Bs, which don't disappear when viewed by more than one person and clearly have a physical body, and they can be eliminated by regular means. Okay, interesting. So, is it like are they like taking people to make like doppelgangers, or are they taking people to make new instances of SCP-1602-A?
SCP-1602 was retrieved on 13/08/1988 from a hotel in South Dakota. During the initial containment mission, Foundation field agents discovered an instance of SCP-1602-B inside a hotel room and presumed it to be an independent anomaly. The instance was designated SCP-1602 and the mission was deemed a success. When Foundation intelligence intercepted a second report of a monster at the same hotel, a more thorough examination of the building was initiated. SCP-1602's actual nature was eventually discovered, and its documentation was rewritten.
Okay. All right. How are you going to realize that it's a regular shower curtain, especially if they found it in a hotel which is filled with shower curtains? Man, that must have been a lot of testing, man. I mean, for all I know, it's the Foundation. So for all we knew, they went room to room and took every single thing out of the room and tested every pillow, sheet, blanket, mattress, bedspread, bed frame, nightstand, Bible in the nightstand, everything. They took everything back to the Foundation and tested everything individually, probably.
Test 1602-5. Subject: D-1602-5. Male, age 20. During conversations with on-site counselor Dr. Subject confessed that he had coerced his girlfriend into having an... Subject expressed profound feelings of regret surrounding this event. Procedure: SCP-1602 hung on a plastic shower rod suspended from the ceiling in the middle of the test chamber. Subject was instructed to walk around SCP-1602 and view the other side once it entered an active state.
Okay.
Result: SCP-1602 entered an active state after approximately 5 minutes, consistent with activation time in previous tests. The subject noticed a faint light emanating from behind SCP-1602 and walked around to view the other side. Subject reported that upon viewing the other side, SCP-1602 apparently re-entered its dormant state. The light vanished and was no longer visible from either side of SCP-1602.
So they hung it up in open space with nothing behind it. And when it activated, he tried to go around to the other side and there was nothing. It deactivated. It might have to be placed against something or hung up somewhere where it creates a partition. So for instance, hanging it in front of a bathtub or a shower or something like that creates a partition, right? It essentially turns the shower space into its own stall, or the bathtub space into its own stall. So maybe you have to create a partition, and by hanging it in an open space, it doesn't create any kind of partition anywhere. Or by putting it directly up against the wall, it creates a doorway of kinds. Okay, all right. Interesting.
No other anomalous activity reported. Test 1602-6. Subject: D-1602-5. Same as previous test. Procedure. SCP-1602 hung on a plastic shower rod suspended from the ceiling in the middle of the test chamber. Subject was instructed to stand in place and observe only one side of SCP-1602. Results. SCP-1602 again entered an active state after approximately 5 minutes. 10 minutes and 23 seconds into the test, a small undefined silhouette appeared at the base of the curtain. An instance of SCP-1602-A, A6, emerged precisely 3 minutes later, taking the form of a newly born child covered in vernix caseosa and blood. SCP-1602-A6 crawled out from beneath the curtain in the direction of the subject.
Okay. You can hang it up in an open space, and I guess to the object, so long as you remain on one side of that curtain, it does act as a partition. So long as you don't try and go around it, it will remain active. Interesting. And then a newborn baby still covered in afterbirth is what came out. Now, apparently the subjects that come out of it have something to do with the viewer's perception, right? Some kind of thing in their life or their mind. So and they were talking about he convinced his girlfriend to have an abortion and he had regrets about that. So that's why he's seeing this newborn baby come out, because that's the thing that the curtain pulled from his psyche. Gotcha.
Upon observing SCP-1602-A6, the subject screamed and stumbled backward, losing balance and collapsing on the floor. Several hundred additional instances of SCP-1602-A6 continued to emerge. Many of these were identical to the original instance, although 22% of duplicates still bore umbilical cords. Acting as a group, SCP-1602-A6 converged on the subject. Subject fought back but was overpowered by SCP-1602-A6 and was subsequently dragged beneath the curtain, followed by all remaining SCP-1602-A6.
That needs to be a scene in a horror movie somewhere, right? Just a bunch of bloodied infants just crawling out, just over top of each other, like in World War Z where the zombies are just climbing over each other. Just think of that, just babies covered in blood, just climbing over each other towards you. Hundreds of them at a time, to the point where they can completely cover your entire body like a baby avalanche. God, no. And that baby avalanche, once it covers you, just pulls you, screaming into the void behind the shower curtain. Bro, that's not an image I was expecting to have today.
A single instance of SCP-1602-B6 emerged after 15 minutes. Autopsy confirmed that its anatomy was consistent with that of a typical infant, although its internal organs were found filled with live maggots. Samples of the maggots were preserved and placed in storage. Afterward,
well, that just seems unnecessary.
Any traces of vernix caseosa and blood left on the floor by SCP-1602-A6 ceased to exist the moment research staff entered the room.
And then it all just dematerializes, just disappears. This is a horror movie stuff, Like the way where any type of outside interference comes to get involved, it just stops and disappears. Nobody ever sees it. The people that experienced it try and explain it to people, but when you go to look for evidence, there's no trace. Everything's gone. There's no blood, not even a drop, not even a smear anywhere. Man.
Comment. The presence of multiple instances of SCP-1602-A at one time suggests that SCP-1602-A are entities generated each time SCP-1602 enters an active state, rather than a single entity that assumes different forms as had been previously theorized. Dr. Lindquist. Test 1602-7. Subject, D-1602-6. Female, age 33. Subject had a history of bulimia and self-image disorders. Procedure: SCP-1602 placed in a spread position against the wall of the test chamber with a mild adhesive.
Placed in its spread position against the wall of the test chamber with a mild adhesive. Okay. All right. I think they're going to see if it can push the curtain away from the wall, maybe, and pull the adhesive off. Also, putting a subject in there with bulimia and self-image disorders, dude, what's gonna come out of here, man? Like, I feel like you're gonna have like a big fat person come out from behind the shower curtain, and then like behind him there will be like a really skinny, emaciated person that comes out and just starts tearing apart the fat person and eating him. Like, I don't know, dude.
Subject exhibited high levels of anxiety and panic upon SCP-1602 entering its active state, repeating the phrase, "I can't do this." This pattern of behavior continued until SCP-1602-A7 appeared behind SCP-1602, at which point the subject began banging on the wall opposite to SCP-1602 while shouting incoherently. SCP-1602-A7 pulled back the curtain, revealing a cavity in the wall that had not previously existed. SCP-1602-A7 was identical to the subject in height, skin tone, and hair color, but appeared to possess no muscular tissue whatsoever, with skin stretched directly over its bones and ligaments. Lack of musculature notwithstanding, SCP-1602-A7 still possessed a high level of mobility and strength, grabbing the subject by the ankles and pulling them behind the curtain.
Okay, yeah, okay. So you got the skinny, emaciated, skin on bones version, that person's insecurity, dragging them behind the curtain.
SCP-1602-B5 emerged within 5 minutes of the subject's disappearance. It was observed to claw at its own body, jaw fully extended but making no vocalizations. Researchers called for termination after 4 minutes of observation. Autopsy deemed unnecessary as SCP-1602-B5 had peeled back most of its own skin, confirming its lack of muscle tissue. Retrieval of SCP-1602 showed the wall to be in the same condition as it had been prior to the test.
Okay, all right. Pretty much what I was expecting. It kind of did what I was expecting it to do when placed against the wall, which is basically just create the void, the negative space, a hole in reality, kind of.
Test 1602-8. Subject D-1602-7. Male, age 58. Subject had been a high-ranking employee prior to incarceration. Doctor who provided counseling for the subject in the weeks prior to testing noted that the subject expressed significant frustration over the fact that his dedication to his work had led to his estrangement with his children and ex-wife. Procedure: SCP-1602 placed on the floor in a spread position.
Okay.
Results: SCP-1602's horizontal orientation did not appear to alter its effects, activating within the standard time frame. SCP-1602-A8 emerged from beneath it, climbing from a perfectly round hole in the floor that had not existed prior to SCP-1602's activation.
It seems like the only thing that it needs is for the shower curtain to be a barrier between the viewer and the entity. Seems like as long as this curtain is acting as a barrier to block line of sight, it can activate. So it doesn't matter if it's on the floor, doesn't matter if it's against the wall, it doesn't matter if it's hanging in open space. So long as that curtain is acting as a shield, preventing you from seeing the other side of it, apparently it can activate and entities can come out.
SCP-1602-A8 took the form of a clown in a loose polka-dotted suit. While its body resembled that of a natural human, its head was disproportionately large and made from what appeared to be papier-mâché, with areas of the face cut out where its eyes and mouth would typically be located. A reflective substance, later confirmed to be standard confetti, poured continuously from these orifices for the duration of the test. This test marks the first time an instance of SCP-1602-A has made vocalizations, despite its lack of visible means of articulation. SCP-1602-A8 approached the subject very slowly, repeatedly expressing a desire to play and encouraging the subject to loosen up and live a little. Subject attempted to engage SCP-1602-A8 in conversation, making numerous inquiries about its nature, albeit with a significant amount of profanity. 34 minutes after the subject's capture, SCP-1602-B8 was generated and proceeded to stumble around the room in a state of extreme distress. Like SCP-1602-A8, it made numerous vocalizations, though most of its statements were requests to see Dr. Lindquist and questions regarding itself. The following is the subsequent exchange between SCP-1602-B8 and Dr. Lindquist.
Interesting. This might imply that there's still something left of a person when they come out, or that the entity has taken part of the person's memories or something. I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say what it's actually doing. If it's taking people and then spitting them back out changed, or if it's taking people and just using like their likeness, but like it's consuming the people and then just sending out an entity. I don't know, man.
Playing log now.
We'll start by confirming your identity. What is your name?
Confetti still pouring from its facial orifices.
What are the names of your children?
What's happened to me?
Please remain calm and answer the questions. Do you have any pets?
I have a Great Dane named Dorothy. Please, Doctor, I need help. I'm blind.
What did you see after you were taken behind the curtain?
I didn't see anything. What's happened to my face? Why am I blind? What did that thing do to me?
That's what we're trying to figure out. We want to help you, but you need to answer our questions. Did the entity say anything to you after?
You let this happen! For the love of God, Doctor, what has it done to me? Why can't I see anything? Why is everything so cold? Why does my head feel...
SCP-1602-B8 raises its hands to its face and makes vocalizations similar to weeping.
Please, try to remain calm. I only have a few more questions.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Closing statement. SCP...
Every other thing that's come out from behind that curtain has appeared to be not, I don't want to say not conscious, but not, it didn't seem like there was anything there. It seemed like it was just a twisted reflection of the person's psyche reaching out and pulling them in. But now it seems like it's spitting out, like it seems like it spit this guy out of the void, but it didn't alter him enough to where he forgot who he was. Like, it still seems like he clearly knew who Dr. Lindquist is. He asked for him by name. So he's still like remembering things. Remembers his dog's name, his children's name, his name, Dr. Lindquist's name. He remembers being put in there for the experiment with the curtain. So there's still a piece of him left in there. If not, I don't know. Is it him that's just been altered, or is it an entity that's taken his memories? Man, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
02-B8 refused to respond to any further questioning and was terminated shortly after the interview. It is unknown if D-1602-8 was physically transmuted into SCP-1602-B8, if the subject's consciousness was transferred, or if SCP-1602-B8 was impersonating the subject.
Is the exact thing I was saying. I don't know if it's the real guy who's been changed and altered physically, or if they just stole his memories, or like they implied here, maybe it's just an entity impersonating the D class. But I don't know. It's hard to say. It's a little too vague to know for sure.
A small amount of the confetti produced by SCP-1602-B8 was placed in storage, and the rest was incinerated. End log. Test 1602-11. Subject D-1602, 21. Male, age 46. Subject was uncooperative in counseling sessions, but was found to have a history of impoverishment.
Okay.
Procedure. Subject given a standard firearm and placed in a bulletproof testing chamber with SCP-1602.
Okay. So they're going to let him get aggressive. They're going to say, hey, this guy's got a bad attitude and doesn't want to be involved with the testing. Let's give him a gun. Let's give him a gun. Dude, sometimes I think the people that work at the Foundation are the same people that work at Vault-Tec. They're just like, I know this sounds like a bad idea. Let's try it. For science. For science. It's for experiment. Let's give this guy a gun and put him in the room with a monster and see what happens.
SCP-1602-A took the form of an elderly, emaciated male dressed in heavily damaged winter clothing. The subject fired several rounds of ammunition which had no visible effect on SCP-1602-A. The subject was subdued and brought behind SCP-1602, as in previous tests. No activity was detected from SCP-1602 for 2 hours, after which the subject re-emerged, apparently unharmed and visibly damp. When interviewed, the subject claimed that he had simply taken a shower, describing the experience as pleasant and cleansing. Testing is ongoing.
Huh, that's not the way I expected that one to go. He got hostile with it, but was pulled back and didn't come back for 2 hours, but came back fine. When they said, hey, what happened? He said, I took a shower. It was nice. It was pleasant. It was cleansing. Took a nice shower. This is another one where it's not super crazy. It's categorized as safe because it's super easy to contain. It's not something that's going to come creep up on you in your sleep. It's not a monster. It's not going to set the world on fire or anything like that. It's just something that opens up some kind of passageway into another dimension, reality, something. I don't know. Maybe the doorway opens up into the mind of the person. Who knows? And it's the stuff in their own mind that's actually coming out of that liminal space that's not even supposed to be there. You know, the hole in the floor, the hole in the wall, coming from behind the curtain when there's nothing there. Like, maybe it's not a doorway into another universe. Maybe it's a doorway into your own psyche. I don't know. I really like this one. This has a lot of potential for writing, a lot of potential for studying. Like, you could write a whole thing on just test subjects going through this and how their own personal psyche is reflected in this shower curtain. Maybe a couple more instances of people who don't have any personal issues and they experience something positive out of it. This seems like an SCP that could honestly go either way, and it seems more like a mirror than anything else. It kind of just reflects back what you put into it. So it's simple yet complex. It's very easy to describe, yet you could go on for days about what it can do. So I really like this one. Another fantastic SCP. This was SCP-1602, a shower curtain. I really like this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to help the channel grow, consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave your comments about the SCP. Leave your suggestions for other videos down below, and we can get to those in the future. As always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.